Well, good evening, everybody, and welcome to college football wraparound. It is literally less than a week until the college football season returns, and quite frankly, we are pumped over here at Saber Broadcast Network because this is by far, in our opinion, the best time of the year because it's football season, folks. We have to be excited. So, tonight, as I told you, we are doing predictions, meaning that what are our predictions tonight? We're going to be predicting the Heisman finalist, which is, top four. We're going to be looking at the conference championship games, which is specifically the Power Four, is what we're looking at this year. As you know, Pac 12 dissolved, all of them dispersed, and really, really Oregon State and Washington State, they're in a so-called Pac-12, but not really a conference. It's just two teams holding themselves together, where they're not independent, but they are independent. You know what I mean? Either way, so you got that. We're going to be predicting, of course, conference championship games, which is the matchup and the winner, and then we are going to predict the college football playoff field and the winner. So this is gonna be a fun night, folks. Don't forget, like and subscribe. That's first off because we, I think, I think at the beginning of the year we said that we would love to get to 100 subscribers by the end of the year. I feel confident we can get there. We currently, I believe, let me look at this again. I think we're at 81, so we only need 19 more subscribers, folks. So if you can find 19 more people to subscribe, we could get to that 100 subscribers by the end of the year. That is going to be a huge goal. I feel confident we can get there, folks. So let's strive to get there. And so tonight is prediction night. It's prediction Saturday. Without a doubt, let's get into my predictions, folks. So we're going to start out with the Heisman finalists. Without a doubt, here it is. All right, let's start out with fourth place, folks. As you can see, I've got Carson Beck at fourth place. Now, if you remember the video where Colton and I were predicting our top quarterbacks, Carson Beck was my top quarterback. There's a reason. So, Carson Beck, fourth place for the Heisman voting. Plus, if you look at that Georgia team, he is going to, I think, have an incredible season. Plus, if you watch the way he put the ball in places that not a lot of quarterbacks can do. So, I think Carson Beck, fourth place, is a great spot for him. Then you got a third place, and you got Ollie Gordon, the second. The best running back in the sport. And I mean, it was really, the top three for me was really a toss-up because if I'm going to be honest, Ollie Gordon could easily win the Heisman this year. But the thing is, the Heisman is also popularity. It's popularity with talent. And folks, I mean, if we're going to be completely honest with ourselves, Ollie Gordon isn't the most popular player. Plus, with the whole situation this offseason where he got arrested, that could turn some people off about, voting for him for Heisman. Either way, Ollie Gordon at third place. Then you got Luther Burden. This guy, I got to tell you, you look at Luther Burden, the receiver from Missouri. Let me get some stats real quick because that is going to be huge in telling you why Luther is, I think, the really good choice. So here we go. We're gonna look at the stats. Taking me just a second. Sorry about this, folks. Here we go. So he's played 2 years at Missouri. In his first year, he had 38 receptions, 329 yards, and 6 touchdowns. But last year, an incredible season, 83 receptions, 1,197 yards, and 8 touchdowns. This season, easily, he could be even better. So, that is my number 2, Luther Burden. And then my winner is Travis Hunter. Now, like I said, it's popularity and talent. And here's my thing. There are not a lot of guys that can line up on both defense and offense and be effective. And really, Travis Hunter, it's incredible what he can do. Now, do I think Colorado is going to be a good team? I don't think so, but I think he's good enough to be the Heisman. I think he will be the Heisman because he's the best player in the sport right now. I don't know of anybody that disagrees with me on that, but Travis Hunter, that's my Heisman pick. So we got some comments here coming in. Colton Naylor, he says Jalen Milroe will win the Heisman. Okay. He's got Carson Beck at number 2. He's got Shedeur Sanders at 3, and then he's got a toss-up between Ollie Gordon or Luther Burden for 4th in the Heisman voting. So, I mean, all of that could happen. So, all right. That is the Heisman. Like I said, this is just the beginning of the show. Also, at the end, for the outro, which I don't do outros very often, but tonight's outro, if you saw the short I posted, I believe it was Wednesday, you saw that you had a countdown clock, and so it was a little snippet of what the new intro is going to be for this college football season, which starts next Saturday. But tonight, for the outro, we're gonna show you the entire thing. So, if you want to see a full version of it, then you gotta watch literally the entire show tonight. Which, that's not too much to ask because this is great content we're giving you here. So, let's move on. I believe it's the ACC championship game. I got Florida State versus Clemson. Now, you asked me why Florida State and Clemson. Well, I got to go back and look at the way that I ranked these teams first and foremost. And they're the top 2 ACC teams that I have ranked within my rankings. So, first off, Florida State's going to win it. In my opinion, I don't see any team that is better than Florida State in the ACC right now. I will say there's going to be some teams challenging them this season, but overall, it's Florida State's conference to lose. I'm just being honest. And that's why I think the ACC will implode, just because it's just not any good, and they're not making a lot of money. So, ACC football has really struggled these past few years, and Florida State they're going to win it easily, I think. So, I don't think that's any shocker there, because I think the majority of everybody's Florida State winning the ACC anyway. So, comment below. What do you think? Who's going to win the ACC? Colton Naylor has got Miami versus Clemson, and Miami wins. Okay. So, Colton, I want to ask you, where do you have Florida State if they're not even in the championship game? That's the question I have for you, my friend. While we wait his answer, let's go to our next conference championship game, which I believe is the Big 12. And this is the one, I will preface this, okay? The Big 12 is really going to be wide open. I don't think there's really some of the best teams, but I think it's going to be some teams that are going to be really, really good. Do I think they're going to be... They'll probably get... I mean, they'll get at least one team because, the whole playoff system. But as far as... You'll see here in a little bit in my playoff field why I think about the ACC and the Big 12. So, without a doubt. Oh, here's his answer first and foremost. Colton says Florida State will be 9-3. Okay. Interesting. It's a Big 12 championship game. I got Kansas against Oklahoma State. Now, you may ask me, where's Utah? Well, first off, Utah, I think, will be good. I just feel like what's going to end up happening is Oklahoma State is going to get that tiebreaker against Utah. Then what's going to happen is because I don't think. Let me look at this real quick because I don't think Oklahoma State, Kansas, and Oklahoma State play. I'm just going to check this, make sure, because I don't think they're not going to play this season. So what's going to happen, in my opinion, is both of them will probably end up. I think Oklahoma State may have like one more loss in conference than Kansas, and so Kansas, of course, will be the number one team in the Big 12. Oklahoma State number 2, and the only reason why Oklahoma State gets in over Utah is because of the tiebreaker. I think Kansas ends up winning it. Now, you ask me why, and that is because. But if I'm going to be honest with you, Jalen Daniels, the quarterback for Kansas, is an incredible quarterback. I think he is going to do some incredible things this season, and I think Big 12 championship win going to be huge. This conference, like I said, without Texas and Oklahoma, the Big 12 is wide open, folks. Okay? This is anybody's conference for the taking. So, that is the Big 12. Colton Naylor says Colorado versus Oklahoma State, and Oklahoma State wins the conference. Okay. I still disagree about the whole Colorado thing, but we'll see. And then Chris Naylor says Heisman winner will not come from a losing team. I mean, I will say this. I don't disagree, but at the same time, I do disagree in the fact that Travis Hunter is a once-in-a-generational kind of talent, I think, because, again, not many players can line up on as a cornerback and as a wide receiver and be effective and play whichever position. I mean, to be honest, his coach, Deion Sanders, could do the same thing. So, I mean, who knows? Either way, Travis Hunter, in my opinion, is the Heisman winner, but that's getting off topic because we are going to the Big Ten championship now. I got Ohio State and Oregon. Now, if you've been noticing a trend, the team that I think is the higher seed I've got listed first, which is Ohio State. Team that's second, I got Oregon. So, they do play the regular season. What is going to happen is that Ohio State will win the regular season matchup. But the matchup that matters the most, which is the conference championship game, Oregon gets the win. They get the bye into the college football playoff. So, if you've seen the trend so far, Florida State, Kansas, Oregon, those are 3 of the 4 playoff teams confirmed to you that is in my bracket. Oregon, Dylan Gabriel's just going to be incredible for that Oregon Ducks team. Oregon, in my opinion, is the best team. And really, if you look at the Big Ten, it's Ohio State and Oregon and everybody else in the Big Ten this season. Okay? And so, I think that's just my opinion. I think that Ohio State and Oregon ends up splitting. And you're going to see with my playoff and see how that is. So, SEC is our final conference championship to predict. And I have Texas and Georgia in the SEC championship game. Now, why do I have Texas ahead of Georgia? Simple, okay? And here's how this is all going to shake out. Georgia, I will predict this right now. I think Georgia will go on the road at Alabama and beat them. They'll go to Texas and get beat to Texas. But when it comes to the SEC championship game, Georgia gets them back in Atlanta. So that is the SEC, the way the SEC is going to shake out this season. Texas, Georgia, SEC championship game. Georgia wins the SEC championship game, meaning that they will get that bye into the college football playoff. So now, without a doubt, folks, it is time to reveal the college football playoff field, in my opinion. Now, you do not have to agree with my playoff at all, but you're going to see that you may not come out with the same thing that I come out with, but here is my playoff right here. All right, let's start out with this bracket. Now, this is how the bracket is going to look. I'm going to go to full screen so that you can get a good look at this. So, first of all, we start out with the top left of the bracket. You have Oklahoma against Notre Dame. Now, you can see, first off, let me go ahead and mention that when you look at the SEC, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's 5 SEC schools I have going to the college football playoff. It's a 12-team bracket, and 5 of the teams are from the SEC. That's just how it is, okay? Now, Georgia is number 1, Oregon 2, Florida State 3, Kansas 4, with the way it's all going to shake out, in my opinion. So, if you look at the top left, I got Oklahoma beating Notre Dame. Oklahoma is just overwhelmingly the better team over Notre Dame, in my opinion. Notre Dame is a team that will be in the playoff. They'll get to the first round, and they're not going to do anything after that because they're going to have to go on the road, and they're not beating Oklahoma in the playoff. You go to the bottom left, you got Texas against Liberty, and I got to be honest. Yes, I guess it's fair to give a group of 5 school a chance, but Liberty going to Texas, that's just not fair at all. Texas is going to steamroll them. They're in Austin. Texas will steamroll Liberty. And then you look at the top right, you got Ohio State and Missouri. Ohio State's going to win that game. Missouri definitely, I think, is a team that is going to be an incredible team. Luther Burden is incredible. You got Brady Cook as the quarterback. So, that quarterback wide receiver duo is just hard to stop. But Ohio State's going to get the win. And then you look at the bottom right, you got Alabama against Penn State, which could be actually the best game in that first round. Alabama, I think, gets the win. I think Kalen DeBoer is going to do a great job for the Tide. Then you look at the quarterfinal round. You got Georgia against Oklahoma. You got Kansas against Texas. You have Ohio State and Florida State. And then you have Oregon and Alabama. Now, where do I think these... First off, let me say where I think these matchups are going to be held, okay? Oregon and Alabama, I think, is the Rose Bowl. I think Oregon, being the Big Ten school, they are going to want to go to the Rose Bowl, okay? Then you look at Oklahoma and Georgia is going to be at the Peach Bowl. I think Florida State's going to be playing. Oh, what is it? I believe they're going to be at the Sugar Bowl, and then Kansas and Texas will be at the Fiesta Bowl. That's how I predict it. Of course, you start with the top left, Oklahoma and Georgia. I just think Georgia is just too much for Oklahoma, okay? So Georgia will beat Oklahoma in Atlanta. And then you look at Kansas and Texas. Texas is just going to be an incredible team. Kansas, I don't see them having a chance because, and it's not SEC bias or anything like that, but when you come from the SEC, you're playing much tougher competition, and I just don't see Kansas beating Texas, okay? Then you look at Ohio State and Florida State. Again, Big Ten team against ACC, I just see Ohio State beating Florida State. I don't see Florida State. For one, I think their schedule's too weak. But then two, I just see Ohio State just being the better team. Ohio State, and then I got Alabama beating Oregon. Alabama, I think, is just too much for Oregon. And then, so you look at the semifinal round. Georgia and Texas will be in the Orange Bowl. Ohio State and Alabama in the Cotton Bowl. Georgia over Texas. I think they go 2-1 in the season against Texas. Georgia's just a better team. I mean, that's just flat out what it is. Texas just wins at home because they're at home. Then you look at Ohio State and Alabama. I have Alabama, okay? Because Alabama, I just think it's going to be too much for Ohio State. Even though Ohio State's had a good defense for a while, I just don't see Will Howard being able to put up enough to counteract that Alabama offense this season with Jalen Milroe and all those receivers Alabama's got. I mean, Alabama, I think, will beat Ohio State. Then you get to the national championship game. I got Alabama beating Georgia, okay? So Alabama gets that rematch against Georgia, big time Atlanta, and I think Alabama gets the win over Georgia. So Alabama gets the championship that means more, which is the national championship. So Kalen DeBoer, first year, I think he gets the national championship with Alabama. He had a chance last year with Washington to beat Michigan, came up short. This year with Alabama, I think he gets the championship. I think Jalen Milroe is going to be incredible this season, and so that is my playoff field right there. So I'm going to let's go to the comments right quick. What do y'all think about this playoff? Do you disagree with me? Do you agree? How do you feel on this? Because this is my playoff bracket. It's going like based off of the way I got the teams ranked. So this is just how I have it set up. Now, in the past, what you would have done is whichever team you have at number one would have definitely be the team that won the championship. Now, with this way the bracket is set up, not necessarily. Okay? That's the one thing I do want to stress to you. The way that this bracket is set up, you don't have to choose the number one team every single year to win the championship. Alabama, I got them at 7. The only reason why is because, 5 and 6 are teams that played in the conference championship game that came close to winning their conference, okay? Alabama's the best team that does not go to their conference championship game. I think that's fair for everybody to agree on, okay? Now, let's go to the comments. 7.5 out of 10 bracket. And then Colton Naylor also says pretty good. And then Chris Naylor says Missouri, Kansas, neither be in the playoff. I mean, I disagree. I mean, Kansas, in my opinion, they're going to win the conference, so they're in. That's just my opinion. So, of course, that is my predictions. But first, before we go, I've got two things. Well, really one thing, and then, you got your outro. But I've already said this, but I wanted to go ahead and tell you again. Next Saturday, folks, get ready. Florida State and Georgia Tech at 11 a.m. following wraparound, which is going to be awesome to be back broadcasting college football. I mean, we're here, folks. We're finally back to college football. I mean, right now, on my screen in front of you, like in front of myself, I've got the Titans preseason game going right now. So, football is back, everybody. Let's enjoy it because it's finally back. So, all right. Well, Florida State, Georgia Tech next Saturday, 11 a.m. So, but first, join us for college football wraparound. So, without a doubt, thanks for watching, everybody, and hope y'all enjoy this outro. Good night, everybody. And here's the snap. Hands it to Audric Estime, and that is and should be a touchdown. Here we go. Bryson Mars has got his back behind him. It is Jaquindon Jackson. Here's the snap. Bryson Barnes looking deep. He's got a man. It's caught! He's gone! Touchdown early!